A Las Vegas-style performer and Wilmington were in perfect harmony tonight as Wayne Newton proved to be a smashing success. Newton is billed as the most popular and highest-paid performer in Las Vegas. And based on the reaction from the people who attended this concert, his popularity has no geographic bounds.
Tremendous. I enjoyed every minute of it.
He's a whole lot prettier in person.
I came here because we got the tickets free. A relative of ours gave them to us. But after the concert, he gave one heck of a concert.
It was a good concert.
The concert seemed to keep the fans that Newton already had and add many, many new ones. Jackson Cherry, News Center 6. It was truly an event fit for royalty. The official coronation of Kim Zimmer, Queen Azalea, number 39. Secretary of Natural Resources Tommy Rose did the honors.
This is truly one of the most beautiful, most loving, caring cities that I have been in. And the people are beautiful. The azaleas are gorgeous. Victor French is stunning. And Barbara Eden, my goodness. I've had a wonderful time, and
Actress Barbara Eden honored the Queen and the crowd with a regal performance. Miss America Susan Aiken also performed. A royal night for a queen.
'Cause with you could be a failure. My first love, Azalea.
Jackson Cherry, News Center 6. The Marine Corps acquisition of land is nothing new to the people of Onslow County. In 1940, when Camp Lejeune came to Jacksonville, the Marine Corps took 108,000 acres of land. But this time, Onslow County residents say they won't give up their land without a fight.
What do we do?
So tonight they organized their protest. The proposed expansion is expected to uproot about 300 families between Verona and Holly Ridge. No one from the Marine Corps attended this meeting, and residents say that's part of the problem. They say no one is sure exactly what land the Marine Corps wants, and they say they deserve to know.
The secrecy that they're going about now is wrong. We people don't know what they're going to do.
What's killing me is nobody won't say nothing, whether they're going to take it or whether they're going to leave us alone.
And along with uprooting people from their homes, Onslow County residents are also concerned about what effect it would have on their tax base.
I just hate to see our future being taken up in areas that will never come back for expansion, for industry, for any kind of growth whatsoever.
Public hearings on this issue will be held later this spring or early summer. That will be the first time that Onslow County residents get to meet with Marine Corps officials firsthand. Residents here say they hope that meeting will end some of the secrecy. Jackson Cherry, News Center 6, Jacksonville.
The sky was ablaze tonight at Wilmington's Legion Stadium with a gigantic fireworks display capping the popular variety show, a highlight of the 39th North Carolina Azalea Festival. Good evening, I'm Ken Murphy.
And I'm Frances Wellard.
More than 2,000 people packed Legion Stadium tonight for the Azalea Festival variety show. They were there for a night of comedy and musical entertainment, and they weren't disappointed. Our Nightside reporter Jackson Cherry was lucky enough to attend the show and has some highlights.
The show got off to a toe-tapping start with the Dixieland Express Band.
Beautiful.
Then Queen Azalea number 39, Kim Zimmer, greeted the crowd.
Hey, hi, y'all. I have had so much fun today. I'm like still trying to reel back from my experiences today. I have seen so many beautiful things.
Next, actor Victor French made a prediction that the crowd really seemed to like.
I guarantee that next year you're going to win the NCAA championship. I promise you, okay? Now, you're all going to be very surprised. You're going, Victor said that. But you forget I got an angel on my side, right?
Next, headline performer Shelley West brought cheers from the crowd. And what's a variety show without the fireworks? Tonight's activities are only the beginning of the activities planned at night for the Azalea Festival. Tomorrow night, Wayne Newton will perform 2 shows, and on Saturday, the Queen's Coronation Ball. Jackson Cherry, News Center 6 from Legion Stadium.
Of course, the festival.
You, James Grubbs Martin.
Since the election of Jim Martin as governor in 1984, state Republican Party leaders have claimed that our traditionally Democratic state is switching over to their party. But New Hanover County Democratic leaders say that's not the case here. At a forum tonight for Democratic candidates running for a variety of local issues, party leaders said that Democrats are as strong as ever. And they say they're taking steps to make sure their candidates are prepared for their Republican challengers.
We've got some good candidates, and you know, after the primary, like I said, we're going to have an all-day workshop in May to educate our candidates on how to win, what to look for, what to do. We're bringing in some people across the state and hopefully out of Washington.
State House Representative Harry Payne is running unopposed for the Democratic nomination, but he says it's the tradition of the Democratic Party to field a lot of candidates with different viewpoints.
I think in the primaries we get out and we fight and we have arguments and disagreements, but I think as a rule we put it back together and work with each other during the fall.
Democratic Party leaders say this forum was a chance to try to decide which candidates would best represent their party so they can present a united front against the Republicans in the upcoming November election. Jackson Cherry, News Center 6.
One of the things I thought, well, gee, they'd be interested in my job.
Part of that 6.5% or
New Hanover County School Superintendent Richard Flynn presented his proposed county budget for the 1986-87 school year tonight at the school board meeting. His budget didn't contain any increase in teacher supplements. Supplements are the yearly bonus money that New Hanover County gives our teachers beyond what the state mandates. Flynn says teachers will get a 5% salary increase courtesy of the state already, and increasing supplements isn't necessary.
And in the overall view of the budget, to keep it into what we felt were county guidelines and also the existing need that we not recommend any.
But members of the school board rejected that part of his budget. They approved a $300 supplement for new teachers, an additional $200 for classified workers such as janitors and cafeteria workers, and $100 extra for teachers who have taught in our system 4 years or more. Teachers we talked to were pleased at the supplements, but they sharply criticized Flynn.
Well, I think in his comments where he stated, over the last 3 years, teachers got big pay raises. Well, during those same amount of times, those percentages were given to the administrators. But he fought long and hard to get the administrators' increases, but he didn't fight for teachers tonight.
This budget will now go before the county commissioners for their approval. Jackson Cherry, News Center 6.
Understand, I've not seen the newspaper. I understand the headline.
Tonight's raid on this adult bookstore on Carolina Beach Road was the third one at this location since North Carolina's tough new pornography law went into effect October 1st. The store was raided by undercover detectives from the Sheriff's Department shortly after 7 o'clock tonight. The manager of this store refused to let our cameras inside. Detectives say that this raid was a result of a sting operation in which undercover officers came into the store and viewed what they called pornographic movies. They seized in this raid 8 movies that the undercover officers had seen, with such titles as The More the Merrier and The Garden of Lust, a projector on which the movies were shown, and tokens for private viewing rooms in which customers could view them. Detectives loaded all of these materials into their department's crime van, and they ran checks on all the customers inside the store to see if any of them were wanted on criminal charges. The owner of the store, Leo Reynolds, was charged by undercover officers at the scene with 8 counts of disseminating obscenity. In fact, Reynolds is already scheduled to go to trial on similar charges filed as a result of an earlier raid on his store. Tonight, he is being held in the New Hanover County Jail under a $4,000 bond. Jackson Cherry, News Center 6. Each day during the school year, our area children receive a hot, nutritious meal.
Thank you.
If they can't afford to pay for it, they receive it free or at a reduced price. For some kids, it's the only real nutrition they get each day. So if these meals were stopped during the summer months, it could mean some children would go hungry. That's why New Hanover County school officials think the summer feeding program is needed.
It's been recognized that there is a problem with children getting nutritional meals during the school year, and if that's the case during the school year, that need still is there during the summer months. So Congress has allocated the funds to provide the money for the summer feeding program.
This program will cost about $50,000 and is totally federally funded. It will be open to all children in New Hanover County, regardless of their economic background. This year, the program will be offered at 5 area schools: D.C. Virgo, J.C. Rowe, Mary Washington Howe, Sunset Elementary, and William Blunt School. The program starts July 7th and ends August 23rd. So for our area school kids, a break from school doesn't have to mean a vacation from good nutrition. Jackson Cherry, News Center 6.
Let's hear from them, and then we can speak.
Nolan, if you weren't so forgetful, you would realize that the attorney just asked, what questions do we have?
I didn't
And
hear
I
the
replied
questions,
to that,
I heard
okay?
statements.
Now, if you got something to say, Nolan, go ahead and say it and shut up one of you. I'm tired of it.
This confrontation between New Hanover County Commissioners Joe Barfield and Nolan O'Neill is an example of the mounting tension between county commission members. Arguments like this one are becoming more and more common. But conflicts are not limited to the county commission. The Wilmington City Council is also split, pitting Mayor Barry Williams against the rest of council. Some council members say they're upset with the mayor because he doesn't consult them before making public announcements, like when he recently unveiled a plan for an addition to Smith Creek Parkway at a press conference without asking their opinions first.
This is a proposal.
Critics of consolidation say that with the problems that already exist, if you try to combine city council and county commission, you're only going to double your trouble. A Consolidation Charter Commission member James Sandy disagrees.
The consolidation is supposed to mainly make it a more beneficial, more cost-effective government. It may not take care of those kind of problems. Whatever those problems are, I think they are going to exist. within a consolidated government or without a consolidated government, because we really don't have.
Sandy says the Charter Commission is working very hard to come up with a plan that will work. He also says critics may be using this issue to bias voters against consolidation before they get a chance to judge it for themselves. Jackson Cherry, News Center 6.
If I recall, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Polk.
Tonight, the Wilmington City Council heard the official recommendations of the Sister City Steering Committee. Gail Johnson, who serves as chairman of that board, told council that his committee strongly recommends that the city pay for the mayor's trip to China, plus pay the expenses of 2 other official city delegates.
And the official delegation, as noted in your lineup there, is we feel the mayor, the city staff member, and a translator. With that knowledge,
Johnson told the council that it would cost about $7,500 to send the 3 delegates, and he asked that the city delegate the money tonight. But City Councilman Don Betts said he thought that council should take time to review their budget before promising any money.
We have to, again, evaluate the need. Are we going to take away from one of our local non-city agencies to fund this particular trip and that type?
But Councilman Tony Pate disagreed. He said the time to act is now. So he made a motion that the city budget $7,500 for the trip. Then a vote was taken on his motion.
In favor will say aye. Aye. Any opposed will say no.
No.
Councilman Betts cast the only no vote. But Mayor Barry Williams says he won't use the city's money to pay for his trip.
I made my position clear some time ago. It has not changed.
The trip to Dandon will be made in late August. Jackson Cherry, News Center 6.
Schools and flashers and so forth.
The newly constructed Bradley Creek School opened to students this week. It was built with money from an $11.5 million bond issue passed by New Hanover County voters in 1984. County school officials say with the rapid growth of our county and with the state's mandate for smaller class sizes, more schools may soon need to be built. The legislature is now considering upping the sales tax 1/2 cent to cover the cost of all new school construction.
It would answer our needs within 5-6 years. New Hanover County schools, with the ones we have built and the ones we could replace and add on to, they'd be second to none.
The tax would generate as much as $3.9 million for our county schools. But Flynn says there is growing competition for that money.
Highways are one of those groups. Schools are one of those groups. County Commissioners Organization across the state, of course, wants it.
County Commissioner Fred Retchen is pushing for the money to go to the county's general fund. He says education is important, but with the expected federal cutbacks, there are just other needs. Our area schools already receive over 50% of our county's tax base. State House Representative Alex Hall told me today that the legislature is divided on this tax, but he says the state's commitment to education may give the bill the edge it needs to pass. Local school administrators say if it doesn't, they may have to ask you as a voter to pass another bond referendum. Jackson Cherry, News Center 6. Back about 6 years ago, when gas prices started to rise, full service stations like this one began to disappear. They were replaced by self-service islands that could sell you gas with no overhead tacked onto the price. But now that gas is cheaper, customers are rediscovering full service.
We have had a big increase in people coming full service since gas prices are down. A lot of people would rather come full service now because they find out that self-service people don't, wherever they go, they can't get the full service. And that's starting to pay off.
It needs washing.
It does, man.
If you stop at a full service station, you can pay as much as 25 cents a gallon more for your gas. But the customers we talk to say now that prices are down, they're more willing to pay extra.
You can get your oil changed and your windshield cleaned, and they're really nice about doing stuff for you. And then when you have problems with your car, you can bring it back, and they'll help you out a lot more easily and readily.
So you're more willing to pay the little extra money now that gas prices are down?
I sure am.
But not only are full-service stations selling more gas, they're performing more maintenance, and they're selling a lot more tires. In fact, Milton says this station does twice as many repairs since prices started falling. He also says during the years of high prices, the station was forced to lay off employees. This year, the station will be adding to its staff. Jackson Cherry, News Center 6.
They're on there and we find them. They are asked to leave. If they, for any reason, would refuse to leave, we would, of course, call the law enforcement.
But Shelley Hendry with the Right to Life group claims abortion is common at area high schools. And she says no matter what the cost, she feels her cause needs to be heard.
It's an issue of murder or trespassing. And to me, it's important enough to go on school property and give them this information.
But some parents that we talked to were outraged that their children were exposed to this material on school grounds. They say the pamphlet contained pictures that were graphic and gross.
The pictures were gruesome. They were horrible. They had no business being printed. I don't think even a printer should have handled that. But to put it out where kids can get hold of it, I don't think there's any excuse for that.
Was the young people, when you gave it to them, they were like, is this what abortion is? Why this, and I overheard kids say, is this abortion? I thought it was just, you know, in the comments up and down, no, this can't be true, you know, but you can believe the clinics that are making $300 on them are not going to tell them that.
The audio revolution started in 1877 when Thomas Alva Edison invented the first crude recording device. And with the seed planted, state-of-the-art audio grew. But with all the advancements made in this industry, it seems nothing has captured the ears and pocketbooks of music lovers like this 5-inch compact disc.
Well, they're the cleanest sound you can get. They've replaced the reel-to-reel in sound quality.
Tucker says sales of disc players have skyrocketed in the past year. In the U.S., sales have gone from 35,000 in 1984 to over 1.5 million last year. It's the fastest growing seller the audio business has ever seen. Tucker says one of the major reasons is that a disc is practically indestructible.
Unlike an album at a party or something, you got somebody that'll run the stylus across the record, scratch it, and you'll have a permanent scratch. Well, these things are read by lasers, and if you scratch it, they'll make up for that mistake or that scratch.
As the popularity of disc has grown, their price has gone down. Tucker says it's now possible to get one of these ear pleasers for about $100. He says records and stereos may soon become as obsolete as Edison's first invention. Jackson Cherry, News Center 6. Obsolete.
The buildings are grouped around the
Early last summer, Wilmington officials unveiled a plan for a World Trade Center. It will be built on this 45-acre tract of land on the corner of Shipyard and Independence Boulevards. If built as planned, it would be Wilmington's largest office complex. Backers of the project say it would bring valuable international trade to the port city by concentrating trade ventures together under one roof, much like a shopping center. Groundbreaking ceremonies were scheduled for last October, but the center hasn't gotten off the drawing board yet. The chief planner of the complex, Gail Johnson, says they just haven't come up with the money they need to get the project off the ground.
It's always discouraging when it takes a little longer, but when you're dealing with a multi-million-dollar package, we know it takes time and we have to have everything in correct order before we can move, and that's what we're trying to do right now.
Thomas Kearney will be the keynote speaker at the Trade Association conference. He says it's important not to let the delay in the project discourage support for it by local business people.
Anytime you take steps to increase manufacturing output, export output, it's going to be more jobs for the area. Officials say the project will be funded by one or more private investors.
Johnson now says he hopes the World Trade Center will be ready for occupancy by next summer. But he says with much of the funding still not in place for this multi-million-dollar project, it may be much later than that. Jackson Cherry, News Center 6. It was lights, camera, action tonight as the entourage from the movie studio came to TV6 to film a scene for their latest movie, Trick or Treat. The movie is about a teenager who idolizes a rock star, and it takes a look at the continuing debate over the harmful effects of rock and roll. One of heavy metal's most famous performers, Ozzy Osbourne, was here to play a cameo role in the film. Here's what he had to say about rock and roll.
Consider doing this foul garbage. It's absolutely disgusting.
So everything on an album.
Yes, you heard that right. Ozzy plays a minister who is campaigning against rock and roll. It's his first movie appearance.
It's kind of unique, ironic rather, that I should be playing this kind of a character when it should be the other way around.
Tony Fields played Sammy Kerr in this film, a role that producers say is a heavy metal headbanger. He's also starred in the movie Chorus Line, and you've seen him on Solid Gold. He says he loves being in Wilmington.
I love Wilmington. It's great. It's fantastic. Good.
The entire movie will be filmed here in Wilmington, and over 400 people from our area can be seen in the film as extras. Jackson Cherry, News Center 6.
Been counting on, and if you think about it, how
Governor Jim Martin said at a press conference today that he didn't favor moving up the Smith Creek Parkway in the state's transportation improvement plan unless his highway package was approved.
And other cities around the state are facing the same kind of problems, but it'd be tough to say to one, we're going to have to stop yours because we really like somebody else more, and somebody else has a strong case. People won't believe that. What would you believe here if we suddenly told you we're not going to finish I-40 because somebody else is more important?
The governor's highway package includes a 2 3/4-cent gas tax. It would also change the funding of the highway patrol and driver's education from the transportation fund to the state's general fund.
But if we pass the program that I've recommended for a few pennies a gallon, for the equivalent of a tank of gas, the cost of a tank of gasoline a year, we can build the highways we need. And
the reason Martin was in Wilmington was to address the North Carolina World Trade Association conference. Tonight he applauded the efforts of the group, saying that they had done a lot to bring international trade to our state. He says that trade has created millions of dollars of revenue for our state and opened up many jobs. Jackson Cherry, News Center 6.
Baseball camps. I went to Texas, then I went to San Diego.
North Carolina baseball legend Gaylord Perry made his pitch today for Republican candidate David Funderburk. He brought with him this poster board blasting Funderburk's Republican challenger Jim Broyhill. The newspaper articles criticized Broyhill's stand on the tobacco program and his support of the Martin Luther King holiday.
The Democrats want to run against Jim Broyhill in November because Jim Broyhill personally wrote
Funderburk also used ads like this one to criticize Broyhill's record on Capitol Hill. These ads themselves were criticized by the New Hanover County Republican Party, but Perry says they are needed.
We did stick to issues, and issues that we brought up were very negative to whoever voted that way, and Congressman Broyhill voted on many key issues that we thought was not conservative and was against North Carolina.
Jim Broyhill also made a last-minute campaign push in Wilmington and 12 other locations around the state today. He said Funderburk's negative ads have distorted his record.
Well, they don't tell the whole story. They don't tell what happened at the time and what was going on in the Congress at that time.
Broyhill says Funderburk's negative campaign will do more to hurt his own campaign than it will hurt him. But a Funderburk spokesman disagrees. He says the ads are an accurate portrayal of Broyhill's record, and he says North Carolina voters will show their disapproval at the polls tomorrow. Jackson Cherry, News Center 6. massive blaze straddles the Pender-Onslow County line. It's located northeast of Highway 17, rapidly destroying acre after acre as it cuts its destructive path towards Highway 50. Law enforcement officers have closed Highway 50 at this time. Firefighters say the blaze is still dangerously out of control. They say the brisk winds throughout the day have made it impossible to contain.
Been crossing the fire lines. Every time they establish a fire line, it seems to spot over it, and it keeps rolling on by the fire lines. I want him to go with Bob.
Tonight, firefighters from 15 local units, plus the North Carolina Forest Service and a special battalion of the Marine Corps, organize their fight against the flames. They say if they don't get it under control by the time it reaches Highway 50, some folks could lose their homes.
Later on tonight, unless the wind dies down, it could be a problem later on, and that's what we're trying to get ready for now.
No evacuations have been ordered at this hour, but firefighters say local residents should be on guard in case they are ordered during the night. Firefighters say they hope to have this blaze controlled by early morning, but they say if this brisk wind continues, they fear that some residents could lose their homes. Jackson Cherry, News Center 6. This intense blaze continued to burn out of control throughout the night. It's located on the northwest side of Highway 17 between Hampstead and Holly Ridge. At this hour, it's cutting its destructive path towards Highway 50, but officials say it has slowed up a bit.
It's slowed down considerably because of the temperature of the air and the humidity in the air. It's slowed down. The winds have slowed down also. And it's just a slow-moving fire right now. It's not under control, but it's slowed down considerably.
Earlier tonight, Highway 50 was closed to traffic, but around 3 o'clock a.m. it was reopened. The biggest threat to homes and businesses was on this highway. All night, homeowners and business people played a sort of waiting game with this monster of a blaze.
Yeah, we're going to be here probably all night waiting on it to see where it runs on out here, where they get it put out or not. If this wind shifts, it'll be coming right out this way.
Worried?
Slightly. Always when there's fire like this. I think it's been coming since, what, about 10, 11 o'clock this morning, and they still aren't stopped it yet.
But firefighters say they took special precautions to protect the homes tonight. And they say they feel they're out of harm's way, at least for the next few hours.
We've got several units that are standing by in the areas that we think might be in danger. And right now we don't feel like any homes are in danger, but the ones closest to the fire, we do have units standing by, and they will be there all night.
Firefighters fought fire with fire tonight. They set a backfire to collide with the head of the major fire, hoping when the two hit, they would put each other out. But the backfire seemed to have little effect on this fire, so the firefighters brought in the heavy machinery. Firefighters from over 15 local fire departments, the North Carolina Forest Service, and a special battalion from the Marine Corps monitored the blaze throughout the night. And they say if the wind shifts today, several more hundred acres of land are likely to be lost, perhaps even someone's home. Jackson Cherry, News Center 6. Since Monday afternoon, 48 hours, day and night, firefighters have battled this blaze from the ground and the air. They're exhausted. They've dug fire line after fire line, scores of them, only to have the brisk winds carry the flames over them. 23 area volunteer units, the North Carolina Forest Service, and a special battalion from the Marine Corps have worked around the clock to try to bring this fierce blaze under control.
Worn out. We've had everybody on the department together me have had no more than 4 hours of sleep apiece. So all of us pretty dead right now.
When the fire crosses the road and you get on the line, you know, you get adrenaline and, you know, you just find a way to keep going.
Area volunteer firemen were charged with the crucial task of protecting the homes threatened by the fire. The blaze came within a few feet of some of the homes, but firemen did their job well. No one's home was destroyed. Barry Aldridge says he is thankful.
Our house is pretty safe. Now, it could catch from cinders on a roof, but the way they're up there now, watering it off, those guys have been pretty good hanging around like this.
Firefighters say they hope to get this blaze completely under control today.
I hope to Lord we ain't got to come back tomorrow. If we got to come back tomorrow, we're going to be in trouble.
But if the fire keeps burning, they will be back tomorrow. Jackson Cherry, News Center 6. The fire that straddles the Pender-Onslow County line continues to burn dangerously out of control tonight. It's moving rapidly northwest, fueled by a sea breeze. But the Forest Service says it's too dangerous to leave firefighters in the woods tonight.
It's too dangerous to be in there. You can't see where you're going with the equipment. We can't get the scout planes up over the fire because of the smoke and the darkness, and the scout planes can't see the tractors either. So it just compounds the problem of trying to see where you are and where you're going and where the fire is. You can be within 20, 30 yards of the fire and not see the flame itself because of the smoke.
But firefighters plan a major assault on the fire tomorrow morning.
We're going to hit this thing at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning with all the tractors we've got. We're going to put 2 of them on the north side, 2 of them on the east side, and 5 to 7 of them on the west side working that thing, and they're going to have a lot of air support in there, hopefully, too.
Tomorrow's assault will be the biggest and most concentrated effort to control this fire since it flared up Monday afternoon. It has burned well over 16,000 acres so far. Firemen say they don't feel any homes are in danger of being lost tonight. Jackson Cherry, News Center 6. Under the school's new $9 million building program, 34 classrooms will be added here at Laney High School. School officials say the addition is needed for 2 major reasons. The first is the rapid growth of the northern part of the county where Laney is located. The second is the middle school concept. School officials say it's important because it groups grade levels on the basis of emotional and educational needs instead of available space. Currently, students in grades 10 through 12 attend our local high schools. Under the middle school concept, that would change. 9th graders would also attend those schools, thus creating a shortage of classrooms on the high school level.
For the first time probably in history, we're going into a construction plan for basic educational reasons, and so it would fully implement the middle school project.
Along with the additions to Laney High School, the plan calls for 10 extra classrooms at Virgo, Trask, and Noble schools. Lake Forest School would be closed, and all mobile classrooms or trailers would be eliminated. Flynn says this program will be funded in one of 3 ways. The first is a half-cent sales tax increase earmarked for school construction that the legislature is now considering. The second is a pay-as-you-go basis with the money coming from the county's general budget. And the third is asking you as a voter to pass a bond referendum. Jackson Cherry, News Center 6. When students at Hoggard High School come here each day, they bring their books and other school supplies. But there is the potential for them to bring something more dangerous, a gun. But the students we talked to at Hoggard said that's not a problem on their campus.
Many of the kids around here carry maybe pocket knives in their pockets. As far as guns and weapons, there's not a good quantity of those on campus.
If they do have fights, it's physical. They don't use weapons or anything. They don't have very many weapons here.
And the teachers we talked to said they had never seen a gun or any other type of weapon.
We have our fights and our disagreements as far as the student body, but as far as violence, no.
But the school administration says we do have what they say is a small problem with weapons in our county schools. They say when you get 20,000 kids together each day, you're bound to have some problems.
We probably will expel 5 to 6 kids in a year for possession of a weapon. I don't believe we've had any this year and any actual use of them.
Flynn says with our county's previous record, the chances of a shooting happening here are slim. But he admits there are no guarantees. He says if a student suddenly becomes violent, there's no way to prepare or prevent it here or anywhere else. Jackson Cherry, News Center 6. It was cloudy this afternoon at Carolina Beach, but on Saturday it looked like nightfall at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. A huge cloud of smoke from the Pender County fire blocked out the sun and cast an eerie shadow over the beach. Predicted 80-degree temperatures dropped to the low 60s, and tourists stayed away.
I work in the lounge at the Astor Hotel, and it just kept people away from the beach. They stayed at home or, I don't know, did something else.
Reservations for motels and condos were about 3/4 full early last week. But when news of the smoky, chilly conditions reached beachgoers, the cancellations started rolling in.
That was a lot slower than we'd expected. We lost some people, I'm sure, because of the cloud of smoke that was going over. And it dropped the temperature. We had a couple couples leave early.
Wardle says the first question people ask when calling to make reservations this week is it smoky? He says until he can assure them the skies will be clear, his profits will stay down. Jackson Cherry, News Center 6. Welcome to the circus. Circuses are always lots of fun. What with the roly-poly clowns and the carousel and all the bustle of activity that puts kind of a magical feeling in the air. Well, you're not really at the circus right now, but at the Thalian Hall production of Carousel. The director of this show says the production is as much fun as being at the real circus, but without that icky feeling you get from eating too much cotton candy and candied apples.
It's an adult fairy tale. It's
Lots of fun to watch?
Lots of fun to watch.
The play is set in 1873, but the basic storyline is just as real today as it was back then. Girl meets guy, she falls starry-eyed in love, and then she pursues him throughout the rest of the show. Now, I won't tell you if they end up together. I don't want to spoil the show for you, but I will tell you that most of the folks you'll see in this show are from our area.
They're all at least in New Hanover County, maybe a few into Brunswick County.
And if you're a Rodgers and Hammerstein fan, you won't want to miss this show. The entire score was written by those guys. Carousel starts tomorrow night and runs through Monday with a matinee Sunday afternoon. Tickets aren't available at any circus ticket booth, but you can get one at the Thalian Hall box office. Jackson Cherry, News Center 6. Shipyard Boulevard is jam-packed with cars at lunchtime. Most of them are filled with motorists in a hurry to get where they're going quickly on their lunch hour. In the midst of this congestion, students at Hoggard High School leave their campus for lunch. They pump about 300 additional cars into the traffic. And along with the extra vehicles, many of the students cross crowded Shipyard Boulevard on foot to get to nearby eating places. Some teachers and parents say this is unsafe. So New Hanover County School Superintendent Richard Flynn organized a task force which is looking into this problem, not only at Hoggard but at the other 2 area high schools as well. He says one of the options they're considering is making all students remain on campus for lunch.
You know, should we reorganize that? Should we relook at that to see that if we are creating a hazard by pumping 300-400 cars out at 3 different sites into an already congested area?
Students are not allowed to leave campus at lunchtime in New Hanover County until they get to the high school level. None of the students we talked to favored giving up the privilege.
Well, if you have the common sense to go off campus, I think you have the common sense to cross the street safely.
I'd like to see them try to put close to 1,000 students in that small, crowded, ugly cafeteria over there. I think it's really stupid.
Flynn says the school cafeterias will hold all the students with only some minor schedule juggling. He says the school board will make a decision on this issue soon, with the safety of the students their foremost concern. Jackson Cherry, News Center 6.